This is part 3 of my Revelations Ghost Run, where I try to play the game without being seen and assassinating targets only. If you wanna see part 1 and 2, I'll link them here somewhere. Also for the ghosting rules, check them out in the description below. So sequence 3 starts off with Ezio and Yusuf mourning the death of some assassins after they took back a hideout from some Templars. While they were successful in beating the Templars, it did not happen without a cost. And so since our numbers have dwindled, the first thing we do in sequence 3 is recruit some new assassins. Ezio will be training them and honing them into becoming lethal shadows, singing the poetry of death. So after the talk with Yusuf, we head out to the first mission marker to find our first recruit. Nothing really happened on the way to the marker. I just jumped over rooftops and made sure to stay away from patrols. I also opened some chests along the way. Eventually, I found a candidate for the next assassin position. He is a prisoner, convicted of theft due to hunger. Did he deserve to be imprisoned? Probably, that's still theft, but Ezio thinks otherwise. So we go on ahead and try to look for the key to the cage to free this guy. The key is in the person of a guard who is not that far away. As I headed towards where he was located, I looted some chests along the way. I did get a close call when a roof patrol almost filled out his SSI meter. Thankfully, I had time to run away and hide from him. Not long after, I made it to the area where the guard who has the key is skulking about. I looked around the area to find him, using Ezio's eagle vision. Once I knew who my target was, I had to look around again and find a way to get to him without being seen, and without killing anyone. The best path that I found was this patio-looking area that was overlooking the streets. I don't know what it's called though, but I made my way up there. I blended with the crowd to wait for the guard to look away, and when the coast was clear, I made my way to the upper section of the area. I did have to retreat a bit since my timing was off and the guard was coming my way. But once everything was set, I made my way up and approached my target to try and pickpocket him. However, I was iffy during this mission since the way to pickpocket in Revelations was to bump into an enemy. I was afraid that if I did that, he would detect me. So I first tried to pickpocket him by slowly walking up to him. However, this was a bad idea which ended up with me being detected, and so I had to reload. I repeated what I did before and made my way into a crowd to blend in. Eventually, my target was in a safe spot and I just pickpocketed him normally. After that, I hid for a short while within the crowd and then made my escape. To get back to the prisoner, I decided to hop on a boat and just row my way back. As I got back to the cage, I opened it with a key, freed the guy, and finished the mission. The next mission was on the other end of the water, so I had to get on a boat and cross the Galata district. On my way to the next memory, I did a bit of exploration, including synchronizing on a viewpoint. Not long after, I made it into one of the hideouts where I learned how to assign a den leader. This was also the start of the training arc of our first assassin recruit. We talked a bit about some missing assassins which the new recruit believes to have been killed by someone very dangerous. So we had to investigate what was happening by going to some square and waiting for the attacker. However, first we needed to take out a few enemies. Now I know that they are targets, so meaning I can just kill them and I will still be ghosting. But since I prefer to do some non-lethal takedowns, I decided to try and see if I can knock them out first. The first one I knocked out was the guard on the highest roof. I reckoned that from his position, he will likely see me take out the others. When I knocked him out, he fell into the roof below. Fortunately, he didn't die. So that was one down. For the second one, I was expecting him to not fall, so I just simply procced the execute button while behind him. However, he ended up falling and dying. So I decided to reload and try again. Same as before, I took down the highest guy first and he fell unconscious below. For the second guy, I decided to throw some coins in an attempt to catch his attention. I didn't have access to bomb crafting yet during this time, so I had no distraction tools. I then realized that there were thieves nearby whom I decided to hire. At first, I wanted to lure the second guard away so that I could knock him out somewhere else. However, due to some bugs or something, thieves will fight guards who are on the roof instead of luring them away, so this wasn't an option. I ended up just luring the third guard away, thinking that this would give me some space to work with. I then decided to shoot the second guard with a poison dart and just punch him to knock him out. This is a very reliable trick if you want to instantly knock out guards. I'll be using this a lot, probably. Now for the third guy, I realized that luring him away was just a waste of time. I ended up stalking him in a lonely street before I knocked him out. I then went back to the square where our recruit told me that something was wrong. After some investigations, I saw how a couple of assassins were killed by what seems to be another assassin, since he was using a hidden blade as well, I think. The attacker eventually appeared and killed another assassin. Ezio and the recruit followed him and tried to take him down, but the guy was really good. Eventually, a group of guards came by, giving him time to escape. We then had to fire off the guards to make sure our recruit was safe. Now, since I learned the hook and throw counter move, knocking out the guards was super easy. I simply countered by pressing shift on my keyboard and Ezio just throws them to the ground and knocks them out. Ezio then told his recruit that he needs more training before fighting the other guy. This ended that memory. After the mission, the game prompted me to interact with a birdhouse which I could use to manage my field assassins. It's not really important right now, so let's skip that. After interacting with the birdhouse, a stalker jumped me and attempted to assassinate Ezio. Now I wanted to counter him, which would make Ezio instantly kill him. Since I was ghosting, I just let the guy stab Ezio and watched him run away. With all that done, I headed to the next memory. Nothing really interesting happened on my way there, but I did bribe a herald to lower my notoriety. Anyway, the next memory was in the assassin hideout we went to before. Here, Yusuf began to teach Ezio how to craft some bombs. I'll just skip over this part since it's just a tutorial on how to navigate and use the crafting mechanic. Nothing too interesting really, but very important for the ghost run. After the tutorial, Ezio then showed Yusuf the book he found and told him he wanted to look for more of those. Yusuf then told him to meet with Piri Ray in the bazaar, and so that was what we did. We visited the bazaar and went to Piri's shop where he told us where Marco Polo's old workshop was. Aside from this, Piri also gave us access to some more bomb recipes. However, to unlock some of them, I needed to complete some short missions. For now, I decided to do the Turkish smokescreen mission first. I won't talk too much about this mission, but I did have to retry more than a couple of times since I kept getting spotted when I was trying to escape after capturing the objective, which was the chest. The smoke was just dissipating too quickly for me. But eventually I realized I should instead climb up the building and onto the roof. This allowed me to easily escape and just leap of faith my way out of the area. After that, I made my way to the next memory, which was actually in Sophia's bookstore. Do note also that because of the smokescreen mission, I did end up increasing my notoriety. At least that is what I think that caused it. Anyway, Ezio entered the shop and talked a bit with Sophia. He investigated the building for a bit and eventually found a hidden passage of sorts. It turns out this is the place where the Templars are looking for one of the Masyaf keys. Before Ezio enters, of course, he reaches up Sophia a bit.
Who are you, Messere?
Only the most interesting man in your life.
Ah, che presuntuoso.
A presto, Sophia. I will return in a moment.
Once inside the cistern, I did a bit of exploration to loot some chests now and then. But the real problem in this mission was completing each section undetected and without killing anyone. Now, like before, I could just simply assassinate my target and the ghost run will still be okay since they are targets. However, I wanted the challenge. So I looked for a way to take out the targets without killing them. And believe me, this did take a while. So for this part, I'll just explain how I did it for each section since narrating the hours of experimentation and frustration would probably take us half a day. But yeah, just note that I had to reload probably like 30 or more times to get things right. Anyway, for the first section, I found a timing in which I could just walk past a couple of guards without being seen. I then had to wait a bit until I could cross again and make my way to the kill zone. Once the target was here, I used the poison dart to stop him and simply punch him to knock him out. I did have to hide for a bit since the nearby guards would turn around for half a second once the target was down. Anyway, I did some looting and went ahead to the next section. In this one, the target was in a scaffolding which was difficult to access. But after hours of trial and error, I found a good route which allowed me to get to the second floor of the area. I then had to wait a bit for this guard to walk away so that I could get to the upper floor. Once on the upper floor, I had to get the perfect timing to shoot a target with a dart. It was a bit tricky since a nearby guard could see me if I came at the wrong moment. But thankfully, I was able to shoot the guard and then I jumped into the scaffolding. I then punched the target to knock him out and just allowed myself to fall by the side of the scaffolding. After crossing an interim area, I then got to the third and last section. Here the target was in the middle of the area, surrounded by other soldiers. I did attempt to try and knock him out, however I couldn't really find a way to do it without touching the other guards. So I decided for this special guy, I'll kill him since he is still a target. And so I equipped my splinter bomb, which had a bouncy casing, meaning that it would bounce for a bit once thrown. I had to find the perfect angle and timing to throw it. And fortunately, my throw was perfect and it instantly killed the target. This gave me the gate key to the next and final door. Now all I had to do was navigate my way around the area and into the gate, which was not really a problem. In the next area, I had to investigate some doors until I found the crypt where the Masyaf key was. I simply interacted with it and finished the mission. Ezio then returns to Sophia's shop where he told her about the books. She agreed to help Ezio, which will become a very integral part of Ezio's story later. As we came out of the shop, Yusuf was waiting for Ezio. He told us that he is doing some work with various factions like the Thieves Guild and Romanis. Ezio then told Yusuf that he would take care of the Romanis so Yusuf could focus on other tasks. Noting here that before heading to the next mission, I bribed another herald to reset my notoriety. After that, I headed out to the Romanis. Now the mission for the Romanis was really easy, especially for a stealth mission. The gist is that we had to follow some guards who stole a chest and kill them to make them think that the chest is cursed. To do this, I simply had to hire some Romanis, which was the point of this tutorial mission. Then since I am blended with them, basically making me invisible, I could kill them easily by using the poison dart. I didn't try to knock out the guards in this mission since the targets are always around other guards. Plus it would kind of ruin the goal of making people think that the chest was cursed. So yeah, I did that to 3 guards, meaning I killed 3 targets in this mission. I then escorted the Romani leader along with the chest back to their camp and concluded the mission. With that mission done, I headed back to the main assassin hideout to inspect the Masyaf key, which showed Ezio a memory of Altair. In this memory, we played as Altair during a Templar attack at Masyaf. The Templars have taken over the castle and Altair attempts to drive them away. Now the game prompted us to fight our way up Masyaf. However, since I was ghosting, I decided to just run around the enemies and climb over buildings. This did make me fail the optional objective of saving some civilians, but that is not really the point of this run. Eventually, I made it to the Masyaf gate where we saw the Templar who led the attack. After a bit of exposition, we climbed up the gate wall and onto the top of the gate. Now, the guard placements were a bit tight, but ghosting past them was possible. However, I did have to reload maybe a dozen times since the timings are also tight, which would end with all the assassins including Al-Mualim dead. For the perfect run, I simply climbed up and ran straight to the stairs at the right side of the gate. I slowly crept to the side, which prompted the Templar to kill another assassin. I then climbed up another wall and quickly hid from the guards who kind of saw me. Once everything was clear, I climbed on a pillar or whatever that is called and jumped across, skipping the guards beside me. He did caught a glimpse of me and so I had to hide. While hanging, I simply side ejected onto another pillar and made my way down to the walkway. I then parkoured my way down and performed an air assassination, killing the Templar. After the memory corridor, everyone was safe and that ended that memory. With that done, we head to the next and final memory of Sequence 3. I met up with our assassin recruit who is now ready to fight his arch enemy. We talk about some kidnapped assassins and how the traitor wants us to surrender our hideouts. Of course, we won't do that. We then search for the kidnapped assassins who were being watched by guards. While trying to free the assassins, I did fail a couple of times. The best way I found to go through this mission was to use the thieves on the rooftops to lure the guards away. This gave me more than enough time to save both the assassins who were being held hostage. When saving the last assassin, they will tell Ezio that they were a distraction, and the traitor was attacking the assassin's den. This led us to run straight to the hideout to make sure that it would not fall into the Templar's hands. Eventually, we found a sentinel and had to chase him again. We did do a bit of cardio, but eventually our recruit ended the mission, and concluded Sequence 3 of Assassin's Creed Revelations.